Hi, and welcome back to the Price Action Analyst YouTube channel. I just want to do a general update of a few things that I've noticed today when I was looking at which cryptocurrencies I was going to get into. As I've said before in other videos, I ended up getting into ZIL and Nano today. So let's just start off with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is interesting. I don't know. I'm still bullish on Bitcoin given this strength. And, it was testing the bottom of this trend line, but left, a big wick there, and then we had strength up, and that I thought that was going to be a push up, because this level here, this 10,000 level's been tried a few times, and the rejection off this low here at around 4,000 was pretty convincing. This is Bitcoin in terms of US dollars, of course. So now we've had, prices fallen outside of this and pushed up here. You could call this a retest and come off here, and that's not bullish. That's bearish price action. Still got this wick acting as a buffer. So price having washed that's a very positive. So if you have a buying bar here, I'm still bullish. Especially if you get a convincing push outside of here. It's just this kind of, without if you had a big bearish bar here, then I would say, all right, this is going to push lower, but this is not what's happening. It's very unconvincing. So if I was trading this short term, I would hope that I would stand on the sidelines and just watch how price paints in over the next, I don't know, probably week or two. So what I would be looking for is, if you get a big push down and it closes on its low, and then the next bar goes opens and pushes below that low, then I think that we're gonna come and test these areas here. If you start to get substantial buying pressure here, then this is just a fake out, I guess. And if you get buying pressure off that, I think it's coming for these. I think it's coming for this 10,588 high, and I think given that it's there 1 2, I think the next one's probably, especially off this strength, and after people are thinking it's getting short, you get buying pressure and they're all hitting the sell button. I think that would, my expectation is that it would push through that if it does that. So overall though, I would just wait. I'm tempted to kind of swap my Bitcoin position into something else in the short term, but I think what I'll do is I'll just wait. I'll wait to see which way it looks like it's gonna head, because eventually it's gonna choose a direction here. It's just hard for me to tell what that is. And again, as soon as I see like substantial buying, given the context here, I would be immediately bullish. Like I would continue to hold. If it's you get 1 or 2 of those, then it looks even more bullish. We need those here to be more certain, or I do anyways. And if you get selling here, especially if it closes below this low here, then it's gonna push lower. I have my sort of expectations are not strong enough for me to take a trading or an investment position there, even though I am holding Bitcoin. But if it looks like it's going to push lower, then I think that I'm going to trade my Bitcoin for something else, because there's a lot of stuff that is looking strong. So I've got a list here. Let's have a look at Icon Coin's another one I like. So you know, and this was strong up, and this retracement's taken a long time, which I think in the scheme of things will be good. You know, this is what you call a failed break. It's kind of a sucker's rally, and this is why I don't like buying at breaks of highs, because this is the high probability event. But it kind of showed its hand here. It didn't come back inside. It kind of went along the trend line. That's usually going to result in an upside pop, and you've got that. So expect Icon Coin now. I expect that this is. That's my expectation for this coin. So, you know, that's a big projection. And I'm holding Icon Coin, so I don't need to do anything. But, you know, if you're not, you might want to consider looking for an entry here. So, I mean, price-wise, it's only, you know, roughly double. So it's maybe not as big as it looks proportionally. But that's very bullish price action. That is unlikely to fall over here and push this low in the immediate term. I think it's going to come up and challenge here, probably get some weakness that'll be slight, especially if this is a very strong move. It'll be, you know, a shallow retest, and then price will continue to push up, and you'll get more substantial weakness here. But that's kind of my projected high. So I would watch and see what happens to price when it gets up to this level. But I like what's happening here, especially, you know, this strength up and a lengthy retrace is okay with that push outside. So that's bullish for me. Another one that is very strong is VeChain. So that's really impressive. Yeah, I was lucky to get into that early enough. So, I mean, wow, that's I think my position has tripled. Yeah, it has roughly. So this is the previous high where you would have expected weakness, and look at what paints in. You get a big wick there. So, and the wick is definitely substantial. It's roughly 50-50. So because this is very strong up, expect price to sucker. It'll sucker more people in. It might even push above this high, and eventually you're going to get another wick. So I would not buy this here. And this is what happens though. You see that everyone wants to hop in there, right? They want to hop in because they're afraid of missing out. And this is I don't know why that is, but when you see something that you want to get into because you feel that it's too late, that's where everyone's getting screwed. So you watch the price paint in over the next couple of days. You'll get attempts to push higher, and you'll get wicks off of that. So wait, you know, I want to see the buying pressure on the opposite side here. Like, I want to see price come down, and I want to see wicks here, and for me to consider entering that if I don't have that already. But I just thought I'd comment on that because that's very strong. It's weakness where you would have expected it, and something to keep an eye on. Ethereum, I've been expecting it to make a move. It's kind of doing the same thing as Icon Coin in the sense that, you know, it's tried to push out of here and it's failed. But even though it's failed, it's kind of hugging this trend line. And, I mean, call that a retrace and then strength off and a wash of this pivot here, and the price is immediately pushed higher. So that still looks very good to me. I think Ethereum is going to have a little run here. you know, it'll at least, if you get buying bars that push out of here, I think it's going to go through here, and I think it's going to challenge these highs here, and that probably fits in with the projection. Yeah, so I expect Ethereum to do that, but longer term, you know, because Ethereum, if they're, you know, Ethereum is like number 2 to Bitcoin, unless I'm mistaken. And so, you know, you've had these very, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, when you get a low like that that's very sharp, it means people are stuck. And so that low is going to act as a low for a long time. And you can see strength off of the low, strength off of the low, strength off of the low. Finally, it pushed below. And then that low will act as resistance. So resistance, resistance, resistance. And then it's pushed higher. So it's finally pushed past that and come back inside. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make about it is these lows, given where these lows are, they're very likely to be the lows. You know what I mean? I mean, this is the all-time low, but these lows are likely to hold. So if price pushes up from here, this is basically what I'm trying to say. If price pushes up from here, it's higher probability for price to now do that than it is for it to push up here and fall back inside again. That to me is the low probability event. After you've had all these tests of the lows, you know, this was resistance, you've had the tests of the lows, and then price is now pushed above that, and these highs are now acting as support, and price is pushing up. This is, I think Ethereum is now, you know, a longer term, I'm bullish on Ethereum, and these would be my levels. And, you know, I don't want to say fundamentally, but like Ethereum is, it's the second coin to Bitcoin, and from my very limited knowledge, there's all these like token coins off of Ethereum. So Ethereum looks like, you know, there's stuff that's happening with it. So, you know, if this happens in terms of the price, it's in a way, it's not really a surprise, right? So I like Ethereum. I've got a bit of it, and I wouldn't be selling it right here, is the point I'm trying to make. In terms of other coins that have been strong, so Link has got a similar story to VeChain in terms of its utility. And again, I'm talking from a very limited knowledge, so I know supporters of the coin can get upset, but this is pushed outside of this triangle pattern, and you had a very shallow retrace and strength up. So expect that to, you know, this weakness is kind of the wash of this pivot, but you know, I expect price to challenge this high, and you know, that projected target is quite a long way away. So oh, that projection would have been based off of this move here. So that projected target for Link is, call it 7.2. So I like that. And Link is, as I've pointed out in the other videos, Link is it's rare in that since its inception, like whereas most of those other coins started high and kind of falled and have been consolidating, Link, it doesn't have a lengthy history, but for most of that history, it's been appreciating relative to Bitcoin. So I think there's something, you know, Link and VeChain are coins I like because of the utility that they're providing, and it's being reflected in their price. So this is very strong what's happening with its price. Already talked about Icon Coin. Cardano was one that I picked the breakout on that, so I I said expect a breakout somewhere in this area, and so Cardano's broken out. So if you saw that and you didn't get in, well, you missed out. There'll always be another chance to enter, but I wouldn't enter here. It's formed a wick. Probably I'll look on the left side in a minute, but there was probably some sort of previous high around there, and it's formed a wick, and you're getting price action. So I would wait. Just very loosely, your retrace, if it's a healthy one, is probably going to be kind of this area. Maybe it even comes down and retests this trend line here, but you need to wait now and see what the price action looks like if you miss this. But I keep telling people, when this stuff pops, it doesn't give you much of a chance. Like, it's very, for whatever reason, the pops are pretty violent. So, and I'm hoping that we see this on ZIL. So this is a good example. Like, this coin's very strong, but I can't buy this here. I can't. My experience in trading is, I see a lot of people, and this isn't a criticism. If you doing something in the investment markets, trading or investing, and you're making money, keep doing it. I've been scarred with my futures trading. I can't buy a high like that. Some people will break the bar, that will buy the break of that bar in this context, and sure, if you're buying an option and it rises that day and you're just intraday trading the option, fine. Maybe there's something to that break, but I can't buy that because, at these highs and these highs, my expectation is for the weakness here. And longer term, this is probably going to keep it going up. But, if you're short-term trading futures, this is a death sentence to buy it here. So, and again, we're holding cryptos for the long term. So if you buy it here and it cycles down and then pops up, fine. And most people can do that, but I can't buy it here. It's not an entry point for me. So I would have to keep watching that. The risk is that it just keeps going, but I've learned over time, you just got to let those, I'll let those go. If nulls just keeps going, then I missed it. But again, I just want to point it out while we're here. These wicks, these wicks here act as a barrier, but context always matters. So this downward consolidation, you might have said, all right, this was the low, so I expect price to move to the upside. Let's just say that you had that as a premise. So if you believe price is going to push to the upside, yes, this will act as a barrier, and you'll get weakness off that, but over the long term it'll break through that. It's just, you have to expect the initial weakness off that. But what happens is, if your premise is up and it's correct, price will come up and it will stair step out. It won't just pound through that. This is what what you will normally see. If price is going to go up, which it did, this is how price pushes through barriers like that. Weakness, shallow retraces, you get all these wicks in here, and eventually, it's quite nuanced to read this, but you're getting these wicks, but at the same time price is pushing up, and then it starts leaving wicks on the other side. And this wick here, this wick and this buying bar that closed here was your indication that yes, this was going to push up higher from here. So it takes a long time to kind of read that, and it's never a perfect science. But my point is, when price is going to push through candlesticks, this is kind of how it looks. So especially if you're short-term trading, always even if your premise is up, always expect weakness on when it retests previous highs like that or previous wicks. So that's nulls. I would just wait on that one, wait to see, but the price action is very strong. This is Quark coin, QKC. So again, this is just something I'm watching. I like the overall price action, but if price rolls down here and starts doing, you know, big bearish engulfings that close on its low, it's coming down. So I would just watch. But this is also, if you start to see buying strength off this kind of test of the lows here, then it's going to push higher. So again, that's something that I wouldn't trade here. I would just be watching, because depending, if it gives you one of those giveaway candle steins early, then it's an entry long. It could also be an entry short, but obviously in the crypto markets, that's not something that most people are doing. So I would just watch that to see if it gives you a buying entry signal, because that in the context that it's in here, that can be reliable for the next push up. I think Kyber Networks was looking good too, yeah. So, you know, that's kind of textbook, that push up. And then it's what I keep saying, like, you get a wick, watch and see, because there you got another wick there, and then price pushed higher, but what did it do? It immediately receded. So, and then when you had this wick low here, where did you get strength? Off the wash of that low, you got a wash, and then price pushed up after the wash. So this is your giveaway here that something's happening, and this is probably your last chance. So when it pushed outside of that and closed very near its high, the break of that bar is your entry signal. So again, I will take a breakout of a high, but it needs to be in a very specific context where price has gone up and I've seen a proper retrace and a wash of the lows, and it looks like, you know, your expectation is this, and this is the signal, this is the last chance for, like, hey, we're on our way up to the next thing. And so that one's pushed past its projected target, but look, it's come back inside. So same deal with this one. Wait, you've got, you know, the second push up, you've got weakness. Wait for some sort of entry trigger here, or some sort of substantial buying to get on board with the next leg. And if we just go back longer term, see, like, look where it stalls every time. This high, you know, these are trap longs here. So, and it's it doesn't matter on how long it's been, it remains reliable. And price gets up there, and what do you get? You get weakness. So all those trap longs are hitting the sell button to exit their position. And they spent all this time underwater. Now they're breaking even and they're hitting the sell button here. But these are very reliable. It's not going to hold. It doesn't mean price is going to get there and reverse down, but it just means you're going to see short-term weakness off that. So the short-term weakness is the beginning of the retracement. You got to see what happens in the retracement and wait for your opportunity to get long, or if you're already in and it starts to look really bearish, that's your sign to take your profits too, right? One other thing you can do is just have these levels marked in, and every time price gets there, just have your sell order waiting, and then you're waiting for a wick down here to enter long again, because your overall premise is still bullish there, right? With that strength and that strength, my long-term premise is for price to push up. It's just, it needs to do one of these. So wait again on Kyber Networks, but Kyber Networks looks extremely strong. Like, there's, you know, if people want to comment about what's going on with that coin, something's going on with that coin. There's very strong price action. So that's something I'll be looking at to own. It's just a matter of getting in at the right time. What else we got? Just a couple more. Lend, I think, has also been very strong. So this is what I'm talking about with Kyber networks. You know, this is basically happening, and you've got one day of weakness. Wait for the weakness to play out. And again, sorry, there's a lot of lines on here, but this wick here, price coming back to the low of that wick is kind of an entry point that you can take. And there's another wick here too, right? And what happened is price has washed those two lows and immediately pushed back inside and pushed up. So that's what I'm saying with Kyber network. Wait for price to push down and let it, if it's going to make some wicks, because those wicks are going to be your ideal point to get long. You know, at the end of those wicks, or watching to see what happens when the wicks are washed. But, you know, if I was waiting and I saw the wash and I saw this candle and this one, I'd probably go, all right, if you break that high, I'm going to get long. That's kind of an ideal entry. So, but now I think that one's a bit late on Lend. I think it's going to push up. I don't advise you doing this, but if you were desperate for an entry, you know, 1477 around there, just because I see a lot of strength there. So if you do get the retracement here, you're likely to get strength off of this wick. But I wouldn't do that personally. I would just now wait and see what happens with Lend. And again, you know, this series of wicks here, here's where you got your short-term weakness. But Lend's interesting. Lend's kind of, you don't see many coins like this. If Lend pushes past that high, it's now very close to making an all-time high. So that's interesting. You know, Chainlink's done that. I can't think of another. All the other coins are down here relative to their high, and this is getting awfully close to pushing to its all-time high. So, you know, that's long term. That's a coin I want to own. Coins that are making new all-time highs right now are definitely things I want to own, because that's indicative of my fundamental reason for owning crypto is to try and be holding the next Bitcoin. So that's Lend and Dragon coin. So overall, I like this price action. You know, breakout, retest, and a breakout. And again, in between these, roughly halfway in between these two peaks, where did price stall? But this is stalled now. It's coming, it looks like it's coming back deep inside. So this is going to sound wishy-washy, but this is an ideal place to get long, or price kind of pushing back inside. These are daily bars. If this daily bar pushes down here and it closes on its low, that's bearish. That, you know, even if it closes on its low here and the next bar opens below, then just watch and wait and see, because that's then an indication it's going to push lower, right? But if this price pushes up here and leaves a dirty big wick, then it's, you know, that's what you want to see. I would either get long within that wick or buy the break of that wick. So just watch to see how the next 2 days of price action paint in here. But overall, my premise is certainly still up, and especially with this strength here. Let's just go and look at the hourly bars. Yeah, so, you know, even with this wick, like, I'm almost tempted to say, like, this wick here, just wash these previous wick lows here. And so this is hourly. If you get like a big push up here on an hourly bar, I would even buy the break of that. You need to just watch and wait and see what happens here. and you're roughly 50% retracing this, and you have a trend line here, so this might just be like a deeper retest. So if you had guts, you could just hit that here, and you know, high probability I think that's going to push out of there, or you can wait till you see the buying pressure and then hit it. But I'm still, my expectation out of this is for price to push up. It's to do another one of these. So those are the 1 hour bars. It's a 6 hour bars. Yeah, just even that wick there, like this is probably a good place to buy this. But I don't, yeah, if you don't have the stomach for that, just give it another day or two. And again, that's the trade-off, right? If there's a wick here and it forms another wick, and you're all right, there's buying here, and then you buy up here, well, you know, it cost you from 1133 to 1240. You know, that was the cost of waiting to see the buying interest before you bought, if that makes sense. You know, everything's a trade-off. You can hit the trade here, and if that happens anyways, well, you got in better. The risk is that price continues to peel down. So that is the nature of trading. But I still, with all these wicks here, I think you're going to see buying pressure. And remember, everyone's on holiday too, so when people come back to their screens on Monday, it might take a day or two to get the next buying bar. But just keep an eye. I would say for most people, just keep an eye on that. But overall, that price action looks very strong. You know, you had a downward consolidation, and there's no question that was, you know, that was a big pound up on a big volume spike, and you've had wicks here, prices tried to push below that, and then more strength. So, you know, my expectation certainly at some stage is to get another one of those. So that's everything I had on my list. And I think I'm going to aim to do that, keep doing that, is just, you know, have things that I'm watching, and then when I see things that are like, all right, this is where I would buy it, this is an entry for me, then I'll make a video for that. But these are just things where I like the overall price action. My premise is to the upside, you know, medium to long term, and I'm just watching to see where that buy, you know, that buy signal is, and when I see that, I'll be certain to make a video for you. So thanks again for all the support. Please like and subscribe. I'm on Twitter at Price Analyst. Please feel free to forward those tweets to whoever you think would be interested, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much.